It's fair to say Danny Martin was a bit of a letdown last season. I present you my alternative. Yeah. How's it going, everyone? My name is Stu. Welcome to my Deportivo La Coruña save here on FM24. Thanks for joining me today in what is episode 23. If you've not watched this save up until this point, I'd recommend going back and having a quick watch. If I remember to, I'll try and put a playlist or the last video up in the corner. I'll try and do the playlist because we are jumping into season 4 today. We've just finished the third season. We're going to review the third season and we're going to go into transfer business for the season that is to come. So if you don't want to know what's happened, please go and watch that now. For anyone else, thanks for joining me today where we're going to be reviewing the season that was, where we had a very, very good time. And if you're excited to see how we do in today's video, don't forget to leave a big like on there for me and don't forget to subscribe. It is completely free to do so. You'll make me really happy. What's not to love? Let's get into the season review of the season that was, the 25-26 season. Let's start with the transfers. We had, I think, a really good transfer window. It's worth bearing in mind that we brought in a number of free players, which really helped us out. And we also used loans quite a bit. I do want to try and scale back the loans this season. When you see my transfer budget, you'll probably see that that's probably not going to happen. So, signing of the season, I think I'd agree with this. Chris Furyk from Al Nassr. Free transfer, came in, started 28 games, had 7 substitution appearances. Most of that was while we just started to get him used to the team, and then about halfway through it clicked. 10 goals, 14 assists was sensational. Next best player, Esposito. We got him back. I don't know how we did it, but we did, and it was worth it. 35 starts, 5 sub appearances, 30 goals, 5 assists. Chef's kiss. I highly doubt we'll get him back next season. The next best one, I think, has to be Filip Stankovic. Came in, was our backup goalkeeper, didn't look very good. And then when we saw the goalkeeper we had just start to dip in form and confidence, he stepped in. And although he didn't get many clean sheets, I tell you what, he did a very good job when he came in. Excellent. Speaking of, Robert Navarro started off okay, dropped quite a bit, and then second half of the season took off. 13 goals, 5 assists. Most of their goals were towards the end of the season. Carried the team when we switched to the 4-3-3 for the most part. Was great. Kind of the opposite of Luis Cruz. Luis Cruz was great to begin with. Was absolutely great. He was a free transfer, 21 starts, 11 sub appearances, 4 goals, 13 assists. Those 13 assists came in most of those starts. Most of those starts were in the first half of the season. He was trash beyond that. Yandro Orellana cost us some money as a permanent transfer, $3.5 million. He pushed Andre Gomez, who was our nailed-on playmaker last season, out of the team. 17 starts, 15 sub appearances. Most of those starts were second half of the season. 2 goals, 6 assists, but he was just crucial to how we played. Clement Langley, although was an expensive transfer for a 30-year-old, my goodness me, to get him to come here and do the job he did, I'm really happy with. It was one of our almost nailed-on starting centre-backs. We had 3 in a 2 centre-back system, though, so he did struggle in many ways because we had to balance it out, but he did play the most out of all of them. We then signed Enrique as an emergency playmaker. Did a good job. Not spectacular, but did okay. Absolutely fine. Jesus Vasquez, great job as a left back. He was our first choice left back for the season. More of an attacking option, but did a good job. We have had Carrillo for quite some time, but he joined us on a permanent this season. For the money that it was, I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. He's been absolutely fine. He played most of the second half of the season as a left back, goodness me, as a right back, but did a very, very good job. A late permanent addition was a £2.5 million Caleb Accoli, Italian centre-back. Very, very good for kind of just a last-minute signing, and actually has ended up integrating quite well. Was our starting right-sided centre-back for the majority of the second half of the season. Him coming in was why Carrillo ended up being a right back. Alexander was signed as a backup left back, ended up being our, you could argue, starting defensive midfielder. Solid job, would love to bring him back. Kumbula is a player I'm really surprised we got. Didn't play as well as I'd like him to, though. I'm hoping that with a good pre-season under him, he will come good. Danny Martin started great, and then the second half of the season came and he just kept shipping goals. He looked awful after a while, genuinely awful, and this guy we barely played. I'm not going to focus too much on transfers out, but we did move on a couple of surprising players. Ontiveros was a really surprising one, £6.5 million. It was about what we wanted for him. He had a great season the season before. Did play a decent amount of times for Sevilla. Did a decent job. Probably could have kept him. Joaquin was the other one that was probably a bit of a surprising one. We let him go for 1.6 million. Barely played for Almeria, who of course we did face not that long ago actually, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think we might have battered them, but we might not have. And we let a few other players go as well. The other one probably was Andre Gomez and Nicholas Wimmer. Both of them were in the squad. We replaced both of them. It made sense moving them on. In terms of results, we overachieved. There's no other word for it. We absolutely overachieved. An A+ from the board. They wanted us to avoid relegation. We ended up in the Champions League spots because of that first half of the season. You can see there. When we move to the second half of the season, you can see there's a really rough period when we hit January, like a really, really rough period. So yeah, it's actually quite surprising with that period there that we recovered as well as we did, because we went there 5 games without a win, went another 4 without a win there. But then we had a really, really strong end to the season. We ended up dropping as low down as 6th, but that end to the season got us back up to where we were at this point here. So very, very happy with our recovery there. Very happy indeed. Copa del Rey, expected to be competitive. We were. Got to the final. Ended up losing to Real Madrid, but only by 2-1, and we gave them a run for their money as well. And Super Copa, got to the final of that as well. We lost against Barcelona, but we still got to the final of it. Very good. Moments to remember, 6-2 against Osasuna not that long ago. That was kind of the recovery when we switched to the 4-3-3 when things started to click into place. Match to remember, beating Barcelona is always a match to remember. And in terms of goal of the season, Torre, back in December, I wonder whether we'll be able to see this one, because I would quite like to have a look at it if at all possible. Let's see whether the game will let me do it. It's having to think about it. Yeah, we can have a look at it from the looks of things. I want to see what this goal of the season looks like, because we've had a couple of really good ones, but I want to see. Right, Zardas. Oh, I think I remember this. Yeah, what a goal that is. Lovely worked set piece. Can't remember if that was on camera or not, but what a stunning goal. I do remember it now. I kind of see it. Jogs my memory a little bit. Right, finance-wise, a little bit surprising on some of this. So sponsorship is up, obviously. Broadcast revenue is up massively. Corporate hospitality down a little bit, which is a bit of a surprise. Competition prize money, I mean, there's weird stuff that happens in Spain with that. But our match day commercial and retail is about the same. Top shirts were Furyk, Jota, Cruz, Longley, Zardas. So 1, 2, 3, 4 new signings and one of the stars from last season, as you'd expect. We are now in the 3.5-star team, which is probably about right. This is the team of the season. Martin, probably because of how much he played this season, is in goal. You know I dispute that. It is in the 4-2-3-1 as well, which, considering how much we played with it, is probably fair. Trilly, Longley, Carrillo and Vasquez in the defence. That's probably about accurate, to be honest. Arellano and Enrique is weird because they both played in each other's position. Furyk, Navarro and Torre. On balance is probably right. I think Jota was too inconsistent, and Esposito up front was always going to be it. Now, in terms of awards, Manager of the Month for May last season. I don't know why that's on here, but the one I'm really interested in is the We're the Manager of the Year. I'm not surprised at that with how well we've done. Fans Player of the Season was Chris Furyk. Young Player of the Season was Esposito. I'm stunned Esposito hasn't won it in a way, but also Furyk had that good a year. Signing of the Season was Furyk. Again, I understand that completely. Goal of the Season, we already know. Top goal scorer, we already know, was Esposito with 30. Most assists ended up being Furyk with 14. Player of the Match was ended up being Furyk, but I think Esposito also got 6-2. Highest average rating was Furyk, and most passes per 90 was Xandro Arellano as well, which is good. No record breakers, but competition awards. Spanish second division top goal scorer was Esposito. He's also the European Golden Boy, and he was also the first division top goal scorer as well. Why he's had both of those this season, I don't know, but he has done. But what a season that ended up being. Delighted. Very, very delighted with that. So now we have to think about what we do going forward, because that's the transfer budget, which is not a lot of money. Now, I've already had a very quick look at the squad, and I have made one big decision, which is Jota is on the transfer list. I've already put him up there. He is wanted by a couple of players, Sunderland and Sevilla. That's kind of two very different clubs that would want him. I'm open to keeping him, don't get me wrong. He's got ability, he's got talent, but I am also thinking he would raise the money. Furyk is also a player I would consider letting go. If we look at his contract, he has a £27,500 release clause, which is £1 million under his value. If an offer comes in for his release clause, I'll allow it. I will allow it. I don't think I want Longley to leave, but again, if an offer comes in for around his value and what his release clause will be, because remember, we are in Spain, they do all have release clauses, I would consider it, but I would rather keep Longley. To be honest, most of the players in the squad, I would consider selling for the right price, but it would have to be for the right price because we are going to have to generate funds. Now, having said that, if you look at the wage budget and what we're currently spending, there's a huge gap between what we're currently spending and what the committed spending is, because obviously we're going to have all the loan players leave, but we need to start thinking about what we do about these. Now, I want to keep Navarro. When it comes up to put a transfer offer in, I will be putting a transfer offer in, and we will be hoping that we keep him, because this season he has been pretty sensational once he got going. I would very much like to keep him. I highly doubt we're going to be able to do the same with Esposito. He's gone to the World Cup, actually. That's how good he's been. I highly doubt we're going to be able to keep him. I mean, we try. Do we try now? Yeah, we're not going to be able to get him. To be fair, we had to wait ages this season to actually get the offer accepted for him. So it could still happen, but it's also very unlikely. Right. What do we need to do? Let me go away for a second. I'm going to have a look at the squad. I'm going to have a look at what's going to be disappearing out of the squad. And then we'll have a look at exactly what we need to do to get this squad in fighting shape for next season. Okay, so if we're looking at this as like a good news, bad news situation. The good news is we've got a full bench. Almost. Bad news is there's a lot of players we need to bring in. We need a new goalkeeper, we need a new centre-back, we need a new left-back, we need a new holding midfielder, we need a new playmaker, we probably need a new attacking-minded midfielder, because technically Cruz, one of our wingers, is currently playing as the attacking midfielder in place of Navarro, who might not even be here because he's on loan, and we're hoping we can get him back. And we need a new striker. That's all assuming we keep Furic and Jota, and they might be leaving because people want them, as well as Orellana, as well as a number of other players as well. Yeah, did I mention we've got no money? Well, I mean, I've kind of approached something with the whole no money thing. So looking at what I've currently got, so I've already put some offers in, as you can see. All of the transfers in here, in terms of a real term, at the moment, transfer value, don't actually amount to that much. 1.5 million there, 2.5 million there, so that's 4 million total there. Another million there, that's 5 million there. That leaves a little bit left over for like the extras you sometimes get. And this is literally one left back and two, I'm not going to say wonder kids, but potential wonder kids. I mean, they're two players who may have 4.5-star potential or 5-star potential. I mean, this guy is certainly going to be a wonder kid. How he's not already, I don't really know, because looking at him, he's almost guaranteed to be 5-star. He's guaranteed to be 4.5-star. These are all going to be some players for the future. And what I'm thinking is, I'm going to prioritise that with this money that we've got now. And then we sell Jota or Furic or both, maybe even Cruz, and we use that money to bring in the new players. That might be what we have to do. I'm resigning myself that we have to lose one of Furic or Jota. I prefer Jota. And I think he's, I mean, to be fair, it might be Furic, because Furic has got a lot of interest in him. The problem is we've got a cap on how much any of them are going to be worth, which is the release clauses. But if we sold both of them, that's like 40-odd million pounds we'd get. And the way that we've worked in this save, we can do a lot with that amount of money. So that's probably what we're going to do. We're also going to have to rely quite heavily, I think, on free transfers when the transfer window opens, when we get to the 1st of July. Now, I've also got this guy coming in on trial as well. I don't think he's going to be much good, but he was available on a free. I just thought, let's just grab him in and see what he looks like, but actually looking at him, I don't think he's going to be all that. So, this is going to be a challenge, it is. Now, having said that, we've got this one accepted, he doesn't want a lot of money. And we've had this one accepted, but look at the clubs interested in him. But I don't think anyone else has made an offer just yet. Miranda has had an offer going for him from Lyon. I think he's going to want to go there more than he's going to want to come here. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But I think we're going to try and get these couple of youngsters in. We'll see if we get any offers for Jota or Furic, or both. Again, I might do what I did with Joaquin and Ontiveros last season. I might just move both of them on and try and re-bring in new players. just because of the sheer amount of players we need to bring in. And if we can stretch it to like 5 million a player, that's 8 players we can bring in for that. If it was 40 million bang on the money. This is going to be a tough one, I think. This transfer window is proving to be a little bit difficult. As you can see, we've actually spent a good, well, all of the money that we had, more or less. And wage budget-wise, we've actually closed the gap quite a bit. Now, we have brought in a couple of players, nowhere near as many as we need to. So I think, I don't want to keep using loans, but I think loans is going to be the option for next, for this coming season, for the next transfer. So I'll go through transfers that we've made. Okay, transfer number 1, and possibly one of the most important ones we made, is left back. We have now brought in another left back. Juan Miranda has come in on a permanent. He's come in from Real Betis. It's kind of the player I was hoping that we had last season when we had Jesus Vasquez. I think Vasquez is almost like a bit of a Miranda light. Now, I've used Miranda before. Good at free kicks. He's a good offensive fullback. I am bringing him in with that kind of purpose, just to be an offensive option down there. So that was kind of the big one. He's come in for just £10 million. Not all of that is up front, but we have paid a decent chunk of it. I say that, probably about 2 or 3 million, but we brought him in. So he is signing number 1 on £25,000 a week. Signing number 2 is a youngster, Adrian Rodriguez. I tried to get him in January. I've tried to get him a couple of times over the season. It's always proven difficult. We finally got him in. This is very much one for the future. He's got 5-star potential. He's not a wonder kid, but I mean, he's still got 5-star potential. For us, that's pretty cool, good going, I would say. I don't anticipate him getting a lot of game time this season, but if he proves himself, I'd be open to it. But he's most likely going to be in the B team, but I think he's going to be a potential future player for us that we can really look at. I mean, we've spent up to £7 million on him. He's valued just over that. I think it'll end up being a good signing once he grows, but we do need him to grow. They're not the headline ones, though. There's one more. That is the headline. It's fair to say Danny Martin was a bit of a letdown last season. I present you my alternative. Yeah, I went and signed David De Gea, and we got him for £10 million. Again, we didn't use all of that money all up front, but we did use a decent amount of it to go on him, and we ended up signing him £42,500 a week. I think he's our highest paid player, but that is some goalkeeper to get. He isn't going to be a sweeper keeper. He's not going to be anything like that. He's going to be a normal goalkeeper keeping goal. And I think that is a sensational transfer. Now, we have got a bunch of players in on trials as well. There's some recognisable names here, but bearing in mind we're in 2026, some of these names are not necessarily going to be that sensational. So we do need to consider that. Also worth considering, Mario Barra has kind of improved a little bit. He's gone up to a 3-star player and can play Mazzala. So I am considering him as being one of these two. I am very, very strongly considering him maybe playing there. However, he is currently wanted. I have actually had an offer that's been kind of brought in for him, and we ended up not being able to agree on terms because I wanted a bit more than they were willing to pay. But interest is there for him. There has been interest in Jota. We had a lot of transfer offers in, but then he didn't move to any of the clubs. So we're now left with a potentially unhappy player. I have reduced the transfer fee slightly to £18 million. I don't really want to go below 15. I know we brought him in on a free, but I don't really... I mean, the fact that he was worth 25 million then, I kind of don't want to sell him for less than his release clause, but if we have to, we have to. No offers are coming for Furyk at the moment, which is a bit weird, but we have got some of the Saudi clubs and also Spurs sniffing around him. I've got our Saul. We've also got Saul from Atletico Madrid, who is here on trial. He probably won't be sticking around, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to be quite good enough. Although, I mean, he could do the playmaker job. He could. He's 31 years old, but he could be our backup playmaker. He could go there as our backup playmaker. So, is it a ridiculous thing to do? Maybe it's not. And then maybe Zardas goes as a Mazzala, maybe, but he prefers to be a playmaker as well. So maybe Zardas doesn't work. Maybe Zardas is one of the players we move on, because he's probably not really a La Liga player. He did have some moments last season, but not many of them. Maybe we do sign Saul, who... he has got a good natural fitness, so he is going to drop off a cliff at some point. So maybe we don't do that. But, I don't know. Maybe he'd be a half-decent option to bring in right now. Maybe. And then, I don't know. It's a difficult one to kind of work out. It is a difficult one. So, we still need a number of players, I think it's fair to say. I do think we need another defensive midfielder. Danilovic is actually back to being 3-star, so we will try and hang on to him and try and do our best with him. We do need another centre-back, definitely. So let's map this out again. So let's remove him. Centre-back's already missing. That's absolutely fine. I don't know if Saul will be the option. I don't know whether he will be. So let's remove him for the time being. And wing-wise, we've got Jota, Cruz, Furyk. Badeo is there. Zardas is there. We don't necessarily need anyone, but I don't think it would hurt to bring someone in. But we do need a striker. Now, striking options, there are a couple. The only problem we've now got is we don't have a lot of money. So we do need to move people out the door. And at the moment, we are struggling to actually move people out. We've had a lot of loan offers, but we've not actually had any proper transfer offers. As you can see, transfer budget-wise, it's not going very, very well. I think, I wanted to ask for more transfer budget, but since I asked for the revenue to be increased, I've not been able to, which is obviously a bit of a problem because I want more money and I can't get it. So loan offers is going to be, I think, the way to go for that. But I mean, if we look at the squad as that, I mean, obviously I've got Talisca here. Let's assume Talisca isn't involved. Put Orellana on the bench and move him out. We basically need an entire replacement of our midfield. We don't go for Talisca. We need an entire replacement of our midfield. Which, I mean, to be fair, our first choice midfield wasn't necessarily the ones on the bench either. So we definitely do need to upgrade it. We might have Saul, we might have Talisca. Both are in their 30s though. That's the only issue with that. I don't know. I don't know what to do about Talisca. Because he's not necessarily going to be a sensational player. But he's got name value. And I know he's done some good things in the past. But then he's also taken the money. So, I don't know. I don't know what we do. I don't know what we do. It's a really difficult one. But we need to get money into the club really before anything. So, really, we need Jota to leave. I don't really want Furyk to leave, but we might need Furyk to leave. Now, in terms of the not loan players, the trial players, we've got Mateta, who's formerly of Crystal Palace, who really isn't going to be the one, if we're being honest. We've got this guy, Utara, who, again, not the one. Divock Origi, I mean, he's 3-star, but he's really got an issue with injuries and stuff like that. I've skipped over Michy Batshuayi, but again, I don't think he's going to be the one. He's going to be a La Liga 2 player. Talisca would be of the level we need, but lack of work ethic could be a problem. But if he's a more attacking player, it might not be a problem. Yannick Vestergaard not going to be good enough. Tyrone Mings, as much as it hurts me to say, I don't think he's going to be good enough. At 33, to be fair, he's got natural fitness of 15 to 18. I might see how that one plays out. He might do for a season. Gabamin has really kind of passed it at this point. 30 with the injury problems he's got. This guy, no idea who he is. This guy, I mean, he's 24 years old. Scout's a bit better. Maybe we'd consider it, possibly. Cesar Azpilicueta, if he scouts more towards that end, I'd consider it with his natural fitness. But, I mean, look at he's just not really going to do a lot. Aiko Munayin, I do really like, but again, he's really dropped off a cliff. He's nowhere near the player he once was. Saul, we've already had a look at. I would consider him. It's just his natural fitness that worries me. I would consider it. I'm just not 100% convinced. And that rounds everything out. So we've still got a lot of work to do and not a lot of money to do it. But we've got goalkeeper and left back sorted, which were the big ones we needed to get sorted. So this is probably, I feel like I've said this last season as well. This is going to be my toughest window. This is genuinely going to be my toughest window. We're well into the pre-season as well as things stands. Yeah, I'm going to go away. I'm going to try and get some magic going. Try and get some players on the move. Try and raise some funds. Then, hopefully, we can bring a few more players in. Because we need them. We need them desperately. I haven't really shown many of these, but I have had a number of job offers in this universe. And one of them is this one. Inter. Feels outrageous that I'm declining it, but that's insane. We have had job offers. None of them have been as big as that, but we have had quite a few. Also, want to quickly just bring to your attention a couple of the players we brought in on trial. We've actually brought in a few other ones. So, player number one, these are actually players, two of them, who I was looking at last season. One of them is this guy, Jan Stukers. Jan Stukers, we'll go with that. 24 years old, doesn't really know what he wants to be other than playing in the middle. He wants to be a midfielder, wants to be an attacking midfielder, wants to be a striker. He looks alright, to be fair. He'd do a job as a Mazzala. I mean, I played him in the first friendly of the season as a deep line forward on attack, he didn't do a bad job necessarily. I mean, he's not spectacular, but it gives us something a little bit different, and I quite like the idea of that. So this might be something we go for. Also, we've also got Pablo Roberto, who we definitely were looking at. He had a sensational game in the first friendly as well, playing as a Mazzala on attack. I mean, he'd be free, he'd just cost wages. What's not to love? And then the other one is this guy, David Pereira da Costa. Former Portugal under-21 international, now at 25. Played at Lens, played 127 games. No longer playing for them, though. And again, had a really good game playing as the central midfielder, as a playmaker. Did a really nice job. I'm thinking of signing all three of them, because that really helps us out with what we want to do. Then we can focus on any money that we get in, which is proving difficult, can be focused on another backup, a backup holding midfielder or starting holding midfielder. Maybe a proper striker as well, and another central defender. Tyrone Mings is still in and around the squad. So that could be some real progress. Now, the question is, with the £40,000 a week we've currently got and the limited amount of money we've got in the transfer kitty stretched to all three players, I don't know whether it necessarily will. We're still struggling, by the way, to get any offers in the door for Jota. We are trying desperately. But every single time we put him up, it says they want, the clubs that want him for less money. And I refuse to go lower than, I'll put him up one more time. I refuse to go lower than 15 million. I refuse to go lower than that. I'd like someone to make a counter offer, but I'm getting a little bit fed up of the fact that no one wants him. We do have a potential move for Romario Barrow on the move. I know I said I'd keep him. Yeah, I went back on my word on this one. I know I said I'd keep him, and I do like him. Well, not in this save I haven't, but I do like him generally. He hasn't done spectacularly for us. I'm willing to let him go. If he stays, great, but if he moves on, at the moment, the offer that we've got for him, we'd be getting 5 million up front, and we're getting a couple of million in kind of other installments and stuff like that. So I'd be really, really happy to let him go for that amount of money. So we'll see whether it happens or whether it doesn't. But that could really help us out in getting some other players in. We just need to get that moving. I mean, I just want to get rid of Jota. I mean, the thing is, if we keep him, it's not the end of the world. I just think the value is there. Still no offers in for Furyk, by the way, who had a sensational first game of the pre-season campaign. Was absolutely sensational with a 10 out of 10. I did actually play the friendly just to see how the new players, or the new potential players, would do. De Gea had a great game, as you'd probably expect. We'll go away. We'll see if we can get more business done, and we'll see whether we can possibly even try and sell Jota as well. That'd be absolutely lovely. This transfer window has been stressful, but we're making some progress. So, one thing I actually don't think I mentioned at any point, Diego Villares, who was our vice-captain, who was here on day one when we started here, is actually now at Reading. He did eventually leave us. Now, transfer business that's been done. Da Costa is in. We got him through. The other guy, the Brazilian midfielder, unfortunately went to Saudi Arabia, so we didn't get him in the end. However, a little bit more business has been done. So, João Veloso is in from Benfica on loan. It's a bit of an expensive loan, but I think he'll come good. If you watched me last season with my career, you might recognise this guy from the Southampton leg. He was a sensation for us. We took a while to get his final position, but he did play in a few different positions and did okay for us. So hopefully he can do the same thing this season. We're going to be having him as our primary Mazzala. And we have signed strikers. That's not even his name. Stokers. Whatever his name is. What's his first name? Jean. We've signed Jean. And I've been playing him in pre-season as a Mazzala, but also as a deep line forward. Now, I don't necessarily know whether he's done any good as a deep line forward, but at the moment, as we've not been able to bring a striker in, that's what I'm going with. So that is a transfer business that has been confirmed. We did look at a striker as well that we didn't end up getting. Let's see if I can find him. I know who he signed for. This guy, Tierno Barry. I mean, the fact that his pace and acceleration are both 14 and he's 6'5" may have had something to do with it. Finishing looked good as well. His form at Basel, absolutely sensational, I think, that last season. I just wondered whether we maybe could get him in, but he's gone to Lyon in the end. I mean, if Lyon want to loan him to us, I'll be very happy with that. So at the moment, our backup striker is actually one of our youth players, Saul, who I wouldn't normally consider this to use him. However, he's had a decent pre-season, so I am debating whether we actually do go ahead with him. We're certainly going to have to at some degree until we actually find a better solution. Having said that, I mean, he played okay against Mönchengladbach. I mean, it is what it is. We're going to have to consider it because we don't have another option. So that's transfer business at the moment. We're starting to get towards a reasonable squad. The one thing we're having to do at the moment as well is play Boedo. We're having to play him because we just don't have enough wingers. Because at the moment, Luis Cruz is playing as a central midfielder, because if we don't play him there, we have a lack of a central midfielder on attack. I could fill that with one of the other youngsters as well. But I'm also thinking maybe we just loan in a couple more players. We've actually done pretty well on not loading too many players in, but we do still need a central defender. We do still need an defensive midfielder. So central defender, defensive midfielder. We still need, I think, a Mazzala. We've got the playmakers sorted with Orellana and Da Costa. They're fine. But we need another Mazzala or striker if we use Stukas as a midfielder rather than a striker. But at the moment, I'm feeling that. I don't know why. I just feel like it's the right thing to do. He did well in his last game, apparently, as well. His last game, by the way. Just in case you're wondering. I just feel the need to show you. Was against Ajax. And he scored against Ajax. So tactical surprise or two from your boy Stu. So I don't quite know exactly what we're going to do. We don't have a lot of money to do it. We've got 1.8 million, but I mean, we're going to shift that along a little bit. So we've got a little bit of money that maybe we can do some loan business with, not a lot, but I do think we need to get something in. Ideally, 1, 2, 3. I mean, we still need the spine of the team unless we go with youngsters, because again, at the moment, Rodriguez is our backup in that position. At the moment, we don't have a backup central defender. So there's a gap there. Wing-wise, we're sort of okay, but Luis Cruz is going to be our backup right winger. That causes a bit of a problem there. So yeah, and I mean, we've got Zardas. We do have Zardas who can play in a few different positions, but I think Zardas' time at the club might be coming to a swift end because I just don't think he has it in him. Unless we have him as another playmaker. But the problem is we've got the playmaker positions all sorted. So I feel like he has to basically learn how to be a Mazzala, or he's not got a place in this team. To a degree. Getting a bit tough. It's getting a little bit tough. But at the moment, he's also counted as one of our wingers. So maybe that doesn't work either. I do think there's maybe a future with him as a Mazzala. So I'm going to start training him next. I think he's got the ability to do it. But yeah, we definitely need either a winger or a midfielder. I actually think a winger is probably a must in the nicest way, because Cruz prefers to play on the right. We've got the best form out of Furic on the right. Zardas, if he plays as a winger, is on the right. The only person is Jota on the left, and we want to get rid of him. Still got a lot of business to do and not a lot of time to do it. We've got 2 friendlies left for the opening game of the season against Sporting Gijon. I better get a wiggle on. And that's it. It is time for the first game of the season. That won't be in this episode. It will be in the following one. But this is the squad we've got to work with, and it is not done. Lightest I'll say. We did get some business done. You already know about some of it. One final piece of business that we did get done, I think it's the only other transfer that we've made, is we have got a new defensive midfielder in, João Gomes, who has come in and is going to be our new halfback. I say new halfback because Danilovic has actually left. He had a £2 million release clause, and he's now gone over to Saudi. So we've now lost him. He's gone. To be honest, I don't necessarily know whether he was going to be long for our team anyway. I mean, he's scouting now as a 2.5-star halfback. We've now got a 3-star halfback. Star ratings are kind of subjective in the game, though, so bear that in mind. But he was a fantastic servant for us. If he's going to go, I kind of wish we had him as the backup, but if he's going to go, he's going to go. So we now have the issue where we only have one central defensive midfielder, which is the issue we had anyway, because we've just got that young kid. So we still have some gaps in the squad. We have got that kid as a backup, Rodriguez. He is in the squad still because of that. Also got a couple of youngsters in there, and David Boedo as well, who is on his way out of the club to go on loan. We are starting as well with Stoikas as the striker. We have got Saul, the youngster, who is a 2-star player on the bench. He's done okay in pre-season, to be fair, so if we have to call on him, we have to call on him. it is what it is. We don't have a lot of money at all. That's not the thing I want to click on. That's the thing I want to click on. We've got £50,000 in the wage bill, and we've got a little bit of transfer budget, but barely anything to do anything. Now, I have got these transfers on the go at the moment. The problem I've got with all of them is I don't have enough money to make any of them work. I'd love to get Yusuf and Makoko in. That would be a sensation, and it would be for 2 years as well. If we can't get him, I'd love to get Hlošek, but that amount of money I don't think is going to be... It's definitely not something that we've got, so... Again, I don't know what's going to happen. I have put a bunch of players up on the transfer list, some of our youngsters. So I'm hoping maybe, just maybe, we can get 1 or 2 of those on the move. Like some of the youngsters without as much potential. But we just need to generate funds. We still have not had a transfer offer for Jota. I have put him on the transfer list without a value. I mean, he's down there at 18. I mean, I don't want to put him out for anything less than that, really. I'm going to confirm that, and then I'm going to pop him back up for unspecified and just see what happens. But I did try that and it didn't really work. We're just trying to move him on, because if we get him out, let's say we get him out door for 15 million, we can spend 5 million plus some instalments on a replacement, 5 million on another centre-back if we want to, or try and loan someone in, and then we can get 1 or both of those loans on the go as well. There's a lot we can do with £15 million, a lot we can do, because we still need a centre-back, we still need a Mazzala, and we still need a striker. This has been a tough transfer window. However, first team, looking at that, I am quite happy with it. Quite happy with, well, very happy with the goalkeeper, in fact. The defence is fine. Korea, I'm going to be interested to see how he gets on, but we are playing him as a right-back this season. He can, of course, cover as a centre-back, so we have got that in our back pocket. We could always use a youngster as an emergency full-back if we needed to. Then we do have the half-back. We do have, obviously, the youngster who is on the bench here, who we can use for it. And then we do have a couple of options we could use as emergency Mazzalas. Striker is the one where I'm a bit concerned, so it is what it is. We'll do what we can. Anyway, the next time I see you will be for the game against Sporting Gijon, who, I don't know whether you know about this, but we are a competitive rival with them, so that'll be a bit of a spicy one. For the first game of the season, of course. They also apparently got promoted last season, because I do believe we had some battles with them in recent times. There you go, as you can see. Promoted there, finishing second. We finished first, just putting it out there. So it will be interesting to see what happens, but that will be for the next video. So until then, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed, don't forget to leave a big like on the video for me. And do not forget to subscribe as well. It's completely free to do so. And you put a big smile on this face. I've been Stu. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.